Friends, this is Reverend Dr. Willie G. Newsom. I invite you, if you have suffered the same kinds of violations of your constitutional and civil rights my mother and I have suffered, to contact us at this website or let your voice be heard to those in positions of authority. I was asked to say briefly something about my background. I received a lot of honors from the governors of different states. I hold a BA, MA, THM, THD, Doctor of Divinity, Doctor of Ministry, Doctor of Humanities, and a Doctor of Laws degree. And yet I'm in a predicament. As you can see, I'm totally bedfast and have been for more than 15 years. And I have tried to get therapy for 19 years, been stonewalled by the indifference of federal officials, although I am a former Army officer. And my mother and I have been abused by the system. We've never had our request of a hearing or a trial by jury ever respected, and they're relying entirely upon an illegal mediation agreement that she and I never authorized, we never signed, we never saw. The person who signed that particular agreement later on said to the State Board of Professional Responsibility, her claim she was never even my mother's attorney. And yet, illogically, this matter drags on and on to my horror. Friends, I need help. Maybe you too have gone through this kind of a nightmare, and you would like to share it with me by contacting this website about your circumstances. We found in the case U.S. 541, 2004, that the U.S. Supreme Court says this kind of nonsense goes on all the time in the state of Tennessee, to the horror of the elderly and disabled who are disrespected by state officials, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, as if they have no rights whatsoever. My mother expected in her golden years to live her life and be respected, to have the right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And yet she was legally taken out of our home, and I have not been allowed to see her in 161 hellish weeks. Don't ask me why they wanted to be that mean. But the circumstances are such that show our right to immediate relief. The particular judge of the local court has been at odds with me since 1989 and has been a thorn in my flesh ever since that particular time. And yet we are in a situation that's a nightmare. How would you like it if you were totally bedfast and left all alone in your home by the abuse of this situation without any medical and personal care, and state officials even admitted and their own signed notarized statements that I'm a bedfast man, and claimed so far that their claim was that my mother was my caregiver? How did they expect me to survive in a situation where they took out my alleged only caregiver? In reality, I was my mother's only caregiver for 22 years. The former mayor of our city even confirmed that to be a fact. And we have all kinds of affidavits of witnesses showing that my mother has a brilliant mind when she's not deceitfully overdrugged, and that she wants to return back to this home, which ought to be our American right to live together for whatever time we've got left. She's at the advanced age of 95. All we've experienced thus far are 3 years of unjust delaying tactics. Can you help us? Can you contact your congressman? Can you contact your senator? Can you contact someone in positions of authority, or especially U.S. Attorney's Office in Memphis, Tennessee, and say, look, this is injustice in a nation where the Constitution of our land requires due process of law to be respected by the 14th and 5th Amendment. The right to trial by jury, it's an inalienable guaranteed right of the 7th Amendment, and the right to avoid cruelty under the 8th Amendment. You'll notice there's a tear in my eye, my friends, because under the 8th Amendment, as a former Army officer, I know I've seen people with no arms and no legs fighting for these freedoms these people have robbed from us. Cruelty is prohibited by the 8th Amendment. How would you like it if you spent all this length of hellish nightmare and trying to see your mother's face for 161 weeks, and yet still stonewalled by these people whose coldness and callousness is easily seen by the injustice of the whole thing? Here's the poem I wrote, and it can be applied to any Christian mom out there. My greatest treasure. The greatest treasure one could hold is not silver, and it's not gold. It's not land that's rich and green. It's not a beautiful pastoral scene. It's not a mansion that's lovely and great. It's not a fancy car, no matter how late. It's not a diamond that gleams like the sun. It's not a rare painting that's masterly done. It's not an education that comes from a great school. It's not clean water in a desert that's inviting and cool. It's not impressive strength, no matter how much. Oh, but it's remembering a dear, sweet mother's touch. For a mother that's godly and true is worth more than anything you can do. She's worth more than a visit once in a while. She's worth more than just an infrequent smile. She's worth more than a bill that's ever paid. She's worth more than a call that's seldom made. She's worth more than a casual look. Oh, she's worth more than a priceless book. She suffered pain to give her child birth. She taught it with loving care to live right on earth. She taught it to obey God's holy word. And she showed it love with each word it heard. Oh, she wasn't perfect, without any flaw, but she was the best mother this child ever saw. So these words are in tribute to my mother dear, who grows more precious to me each year. And friends, I, as a former Army officer and someone that was appalled that we have been railroaded, we have been abused by the system, and we're looking in a situation where every day I'm looking at 4 walls abandoned without medical or personal care. If it had not been for a few friends of mine coming to my rescue every day, especially one sweet lady who comes by her own expense, you would be looking at a dead man now. Now, the local, state, and federal officials don't want to do a simple investigation. What do you think about that? God bless you. Hope to hear from you. Speak out and let your voice be heard. If you don't, dear friends, more of our rights are going to be eroded away. They have been stolen from us in the last 65 years.